So this morning, as we enter into our time of meditation and prayer, I invite you to close your outer eyes if it's comfortable for you to do so, and to find a comfortable way of sitting, relaxing your shoulders, putting your feet firmly on the floor. And in that state of relaxation and peace, I invite you to step into a place of gratitude. Gratitude for this gorgeous summer morning. Gratitude for the cool breeze. Gratitude for the blue skies and the sunshine. For the beauty of our garden. And for the amazing demonstration that we see from nature. As nature simply moves with grace and ease from one day to the next. From hot weather to cool nights. From a period of no rain to a period of gentle, soaking, nourishing rains. And most of all, let us be grateful for the balance that nature demonstrates to us. The balance that nature reminds us of. And as we're grateful for that example, let us take a moment to be gentle with ourselves. So often we seek that peaceful balance in our own lives. And sometimes we get there. And sometimes not. But we know that it is in setting our intention for peace, for balance, that we open ourselves to the ebb and flow of life in a way that allows grace to flow in and through our lives, in a way that allows love, which is the great harmonizing force, to come and fill all the spaces. And so, in a spirit of gratitude, I invite you to simply surrender, to follow nature's lead, to find that ebb and flow and that peaceful balance in your own life, in your own thoughts, in your own way of being. And to be gentle with yourself in the process. Allow that peace and grace to flow in you, through you, and as you. And as you allow grace to work inside of you and in your life, know that you will find that balance. You will find that peace. And your heart will be filled with joy. I invite you now into a time of silence, a time of surrender, and a time of pure and simple gratitude. And from that place of surrender and gratitude, we say thank you for the blessings of this beautiful, beautiful morning. We say thank you for the ease and grace of summer days. We say thank you for the blessings that we find in this time of celebration together, for the joy of each other's presence, the peace that we find in our prayers, in our songs, in this time together, and in our appreciation for this place in our lives. And for all of this, we say, thank you, thank you, thank you, God. Thank you, Ross. Thank you, Pete. And my brother-in-law is a huge fan of Pink Floyd. It is the #1 preset station on his Sirius radio, whichever car he's driving. And so I have heard the long version of that several times. Because he often volunteers to drive us when we're heading down to the baseball game or different things like that. So thanks. Thanks for bringing that to us. Well, good morning. How y'all doing today? Is it not glorious outside? Oh, wow. Just fabulous. I woke up real early this morning, probably about 4:30, and the coolness in the house and sound of the birds and just the lightness in the sky. It was just fabulous, just fabulous. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to turn off the air conditioning and open up all the windows. So let's just all take advantage of it while we can and enjoy it and say, thank you, God, more of this, more of this. And whatever order number goes with this, I don't know what the barcode is, but this is the one we want for the picnic, Laura. So, and speaking of which, I want to take a moment to remind everybody, if you haven't already done so, to please do sign up for the picnic if you're planning to attend. I was just noticing a little bit this morning that there's lots of people who are signed up to help put the picnic on, but they haven't put themselves on the list of actually coming to the picnic. And so we're really hoping that if they're going to do all the hard work, that they'll certainly, pull up a chair and sit down and have a bite to eat with us. So, but it's real important because, the church is going to be providing some of the food. In fact, our porch light crew has agreed to provide some sweet corn for us. So they need to know how many ears of corn to get. We need to know how much other food to buy and kind of what to plan for. So if you would please take a moment to sign up on your way out today, if you're planning to attend, that would be most helpful and most appreciated. Yes. Thank you, Stacy. Yeah, we're going to provide some sort of probably a meat dish, like either pulled pork or barbecue, and some buns and chips and some beverages and something vegetarian. But beyond that, for desserts and salads and other things like that, please bring a dish to pass. So you don't have to bring your own entire basket of picnic food, but bring some dish to pass, and that would be appreciated. Thank you, Stacy. I appreciate that. Okay, onward. We're closing out our series this morning, The Gospel According to Hollywood, Part 3. And the movie that we're taking a look at today, and the line we're exploring today, is the movie Jerry Maguire. And the movie is, the line is, show me the money, right? Remember Cuba Gooding Jr., he had a whole scene around that line. And as I was watching the movie again, thinking about this series and thinking about this talk in particular, what struck me about the movie and about the story, the moral or the spiritual lesson, if you will, that I took away from it, is that it's not about the money. It's never about the money. It's what you believe about the money. And let me show you how that unfolds in this particular story here. Lead character, Jerry Maguire. He is an enormously successful sports agent, sports attorney. And he works with professional athletes to negotiate their contracts and all of that other good stuff like that. Endorsements and personal appearances. And he's a member of a big firm. He has 72 clients, a lot of them real prima donnas that he's dealing with all the time, and he brags about the fact, or complains about the fact, I'm not quite sure, at the beginning of the movie, that he gets 264 phone calls a day. I don't know that there's even really time for 264 phone calls a day, but that's what he said he gets. He's 35 years old. He's absolutely at the peak of his career in terms of success, money, all of that kind of stuff like that. He's engaged to be married. And yet, something is missing for him. And as he begins to kind of wrestle with and explore this divine discontent that he's feeling, his first diagnosis or his first label that he puts on it is that he hates himself. But he backs off of that pretty quickly and lands on something a little bit different, which he says is he hates his place in the world. He hates where he is in the world. He calls himself just another shark in a suit. And that's kind of the image that he's developed of himself at the peak of all of this success. And we get a bit of an example of that right at the beginning of the movie. There's a scene where he has gone into the hospital room, and he's standing around a hospital bed with some people. There's a man in the bed, and it turns out the man in the bed is a professional hockey player. And he's just coming back into consciousness, coming back into being aware of what's going around. And the doctor is asking him, do you know who you are? Do you know what your name is? You know what day of the week it is? Do you know who this person is over here? Who's this person over here? So as the man, becomes increasingly awake and more focused, he's going, that's my wife. That's my wife, Susie. That's my son, Tom, And then finally, at the foot of the bed, that's my agent, Jerry Maguire. So once it looks like he's going to be okay, boom, Jerry's out of there. He's got places to go, things to do. And so we see him going down the hallway, leaving the hospital, and the son of the hockey player is following him down the hall, and he's going, Jerry. And he says, what? And the little boy says, I don't know how much more he can take. That's his 5th concussion. Talk to him. He'll listen to you. And unfortunately, Jerry just blows him off. He says, oh, your dad is like the toughest guy in the universe. It would take all of the superheroes in the world to slow down and stop your dad. Don't you worry about your dad. He's going to be fine. And he proceeds to make his exit. And the little kid knows that's not true. He's really frustrated, and he's really angry at Jerry. And he says something to Jerry, which I can't repeat here, but then he follows that up with kind of a one-finger salute, so you kind of get the message as to where the little boy is coming from. And he thinks Jerry's just an absolute jerk. And at that moment, he's pretty right on in that assessment. So, as time goes by, Jerry is really haunted by the way he showed up in that situation. He knows that he totally blew off that kid. He knows the little boy is right. He knows that's his 5th concussion, and yet he chose not to deal with it. So as he continues to ponder that scene and feel bad about the way he handled it, he's now off to his national sales meeting with his company. And somewhere in the course of that time at the annual meeting, he experiences this moral epiphany, okay? He calls it a breakthrough, not a breakdown, a breakthrough. And all of a sudden, he begins to get all of these insights and inspirations and thoughts and ideas about what's missing in the way the company's doing business. He realizes that both he and the company have become wildly successful. But somewhere in the process, they've lost track of the things that really matter to them. And so he begins to write. And we see him alone in his hotel room, and he's writing on his computer. And all of these ideas are coming to him. And he writes these really great pontifications of things. He says, we're losing our battle with all that is personal and real. We have forgotten that our business was founded on personal relationships. How can we do something surprising and memorable with our lives? How do we wish to define our lives? And he goes on and on and on like this, and ends up with 25 pages. 25 pages of what he calls his mission statement. And so he prints it off. And it's the middle of the night. He runs to like an all-night Kinko's, an all-night printing services place. He has them make copies, put a fancy cover on it, bind it up. He's got like 100 and some copies of this mission statement. And he takes it back to the hotel. And he has the guy at the desk stuff it in everybody's mailbox, because all of the folks from his company are staying at that hotel. And of course, the next day, everyone has received their copy and has read it, and they're, way to go, Jer. Yeah, love you, man. All this stuff like that, And, he got up in the morning and he thought, oh, shoot, what did I do, And he tried to get all the copies back. But by the time he got down to the lobby, he found out, nope, pretty much everybody had them in their hands. And not only did they have them in their hands, they had read it cover to cover. All 25 pages of his mission statement. So, needless to say, management wasn't particularly thrilled with his mission statement and his analysis of the situation and what the things are that the company should have been doing differently. And so, as everyone comes back to town and goes back to work on Monday morning, Jerry is invited out to lunch with one of his best buds, somebody that he brought into the company and mentored along the way. And when he gets to the restaurant, he realizes that the top guy in the company has picked his protege to be the one to fire him. So there he is. 25-page mission statement. Everybody in the company's read it. And the big boss has basically said, "Thanks, Jer. See you, bye." And so all of a sudden, he's in a panic. Within minutes, he's flying out of the restaurant, running down the street, he's on the phone. He is trying to call all 72 of his clients to convince them to stay with him, because if those people say yes, then somehow he's going to be vindicated. He'll be validated in what he said. Well, as you can well imagine, the company is also on the phone with all 72 of those clients, and in a very nice way trying to explain to them, Jerry's had a bit of a meltdown, and he's no longer with us, but we would like you to stay on board with us. So there's this, you see this go back and forth of these two scenes. Jerry's in his office trying to make calls, and the protege and a bunch of other guys are all on the phone making calls at the same time. And Jerry gets a hold of one of his clients, and he gets on the phone with Rod Tidwell, a wide receiver in the NFL, Cuba Gooding Jr. And, you know, Rod is really glad to hear from Jerry, because he's got an axe to grind with Jerry. He's not feeling the love from Jerry. You know, he's got a long laundry list of things that are wrong. Jerry's not making any progress on renegotiating his contract. Rod's walking around, talking on the phone, looking around. He's got ants in his house. He's got cracks in his walls. He's got 2 kids that he has to put through college. And you know what? Jerry, I'm just not feeling the love, brother. And so, you know, Jerry's looking at his phone, trying to get to all of these other clients. But no, he's stuck in this kind of long, drawn-out conversation with Rod. And so Rod finally starts winding up his tirade and his laundry list, and he says, "You know, Jer, if you want me to stay with you, this is what I need. I need you to show me the money." And he doesn't say it once. He says it probably a half a dozen times. And then he says, "Jerry, say it with me." You know, so now Jerry's going, "Show me the money." And Rod says, no, not like that. And so he's yelling it on the phone. Jerry's yelling it on the phone. All the people in Jerry's office are going like, now what is going on over there? Because he's yelling on the phone. He's screaming on the phone. You know, and in the meantime, all of his other clients are being contacted by all of the other agents. And Jerry is frustrated beyond frustration. But here we come crashing into the first big belief about the money. Because Tidwell believes that the money is the answer to all of his problems. And he's kind of bumping right up against Jerry's situation right now, because Jerry has just written this big 25-page mission statement that says, the money is the problem. And so after all of this goes on, what we're left with now are these 2 individuals, okay? Tidwell doesn't have any other prospects. There's no other agent banging on his door to take his contract and to service him. And Jerry has no other clients. And so there we are. One who believes that money is the problem, and the other one who believes that money is the answer. And so now we go forward from there, and they explore their relationship together. It's Tidwell's wife who actually comes up with kind of a brilliant solution to their situation, because Tidwell is in the last year of his contract, and Jerry has been completely unsuccessful in negotiating a new contract for him. So the wife finally says, heck with it. Play out your last year, and we'll go for free agency. We'll see what we can do. So that's the plan, and that's what they agree to do. So what happens as the story unfolds is both of them come to their own realizations that it's not about the money, it's what they each believe about the money. Jerry believed that the money was an inhibitor to personal relationships. And so now that he doesn't have a job, and he doesn't have any commissions coming in, he really doesn't have any money to worry about, any money to deal with, cleared all of that clutter and inhibitors out of the situation, focuses on his relationships, and what he finds out about himself is that he doesn't really know much about relationships, and he's not very good at them. He's a pretty shallow guy. And intimacy, whoa, he just can't handle that in any way, shape, or form. He lacks authenticity and intimacy when it comes to his dealings with other people. And Rod has spent all of his time recently measuring his quality of life according to the dollar value of his contract. And because he thinks the contract has come up short, then he believes that he has come up short in life. And he can't see what's right in front of him in terms of the great life that he has. He fails to appreciate and have gratitude for his beautiful wife, his lovely home, even though it needs some repairs and it's got ants. He's playing a game for a living, doing what he always dreamed of. But no, he is focusing on everything that's missing. His total perspective on life is coming from a lack consciousness. What's not here? What's missing? What hasn't happened for me? Who's not doing this for me? Who's not doing that for me? That's his whole entire focus as we get to understand his character. He is so preoccupied with what others are not doing for him or could do for him but won't do for him that he completely forgets what he can do for himself. And because he's now in this situation where he has to demonstrate his worth, he's got to show up if he wants that free agency situation to pay off. He has a shift in his consciousness. And we know what he came to realize. Oh, guess what? Duh. We're co-creators. What we think about, what we focus on, what we think about, we bring about in life. We know that. And we know that when we're operating from a sense of lack consciousness, when we're focused on what's missing for us, what's not happening for us, when we're focused on the promotion we didn't get, the relationship that fell apart, all of that sort of stuff. If that's what we're focusing on, then guess what? That tends to be what we get more of. No answers, just more of the same old stuff. And as truth students, we know that. Intellectually, we know that. But what do we believe? How does that play out for us? How does that really show up for us? Earlier this month, 22 of your friends and fellow congregants here at Unity of Madison completed a 10-week journey in which they got to explore their beliefs. They came into it intellectually knowing a whole bunch of stuff about abundance and gratitude and sharing what they had in life. But we got into some really good stuff about what do you really believe and how do those beliefs shape what's happening. Not what you know, but what you believe. They got to take a look at their beliefs about relationships, about their work, about money, about what they deserved in life, about what kind of life they envisioned for themselves. And they also took some time to explore their beliefs about tithing, 10% of their income during the entire class, and tithing 4 hours a week in service during the entire class. They got to poke around and explore all of that stuff. And during that 10-week period, they also read about, thought about, and practiced a very important concept throughout that entire 10-week period. And it's this: everything we see in the world, everything we see in our lives, everything has been created twice. Once as an idea in somebody's mind somewhere, and then secondarily as a thing or a situation or a circumstance that shows up. Everything in the world is created twice. Now, these musical instruments, the guitar, the piano that Pete and Ross are using, they were invented hundreds of years ago. And since then, probably millions have been made. But I'm not just talking about that original idea of a piano. I'm talking about this one right here. This particular one, with this wood grain, and this bevel, and this style of legs, it was created twice. Once as an idea, and once as a physical entity. And that is that power we have as co-creators. What we explored in this class is that most of us have very little discipline when it comes to managing our role in this creative process. We know it's true, but we don't hold ourselves accountable for it. We still want to blame, our spouse, our partner, our boss, our financial plan. You name it. There's plenty of blame to go around. But no. We're the ones who are in charge of that creative process. And when our thinking is random and unfocused and undisciplined, which for the most part, in its natural state of affairs, that's exactly what it is. If we don't do something about that, what we get are results that are unwanted, unnecessary, and unpredictable. If you don't have a clear and specific vision for your life, your dreams will never come true. Never. And what I thought was really interesting about this movie, about Jerry Maguire, is that you have two very, very disciplined individuals. You talk about Rod Tidwell's character as a professional athlete and the tremendous discipline that it takes to play a sport at that level, to be in that kind of condition. 100% of his focus is being prepared to be an athlete. And Jerry Maguire was no slouch either. made it all the way through law school, became very successful in what he was doing, set goal after goal after goal after goal, and achieved goal after goal after goal after. He was one of the best and the brightest. He is one of the people who helped that agency to grow to be as successful as it was. And yet, even people who are highly disciplined, highly focused, goal-oriented, have blind spots. And we call them blind spots because we can't see them. And for both of them, the blind spot was what they believed about the money. Their problems weren't caused by money, having it, or money, the lack of it. Their challenges came from what they believed about it. Charles Fillmore taught us that sense consciousness is a mental state that we create when we believe only what we see in the world, and we believe that everything that we see is true. When we only see the world with our outer eyes, and if we take it all at face value, we have created a mental state of sense consciousness that is full of errors. More importantly, it is chock full of limiting beliefs. Because that's where we get stuff like, oh, I'm too old for that. I'd love to, but I just don't have the time. That would be so cool. But I just can't afford it right now. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of limiting beliefs that if you had some sort of special magical light you could shine, like a black light, you would see them clinging all over you. Because you get up with them every morning, you walk around with them all day long, and you take them to bed at night. So, what have we learned from Hollywood in this short series? What did we learn from the gospel according to Avatar? Well, we learned about the importance of making a conscious choice about how we view the world, how we see each other, and to do it from inner vision, from love, not simply with our outer eyes. In When Harry Met Sally, one of the big things we learned there was that each and every one of us is responsible for our own experience. It's not up to Ross to make or break my day. It's not up to Dee, to say something to me afterward that will make me, she loved my talk. I am responsible for my experience. I am self-differentiated from you. I love you to pieces, but I'm not responsible for your feelings. I'm responsible for my feelings. And from Jerry Maguire, we learned that it's not about the money. It's not about the relationships. It's never about the money or the relationships, really. It's not about any one thing in and of itself. It's about our beliefs and what we believe about that thing. So here's your homework exercise. I know it's summertime. I know all of you passed on to the next grade, and you don't have to be in summer school, but you'll be better for it. One sentence, and you've heard this before. This is the sentence. Let me just say it for you. If only I had blank, I could blank, and then I would be blank. Okay, so what we're looking for there is a thing or an object in the first space, an action in the second space, and an emotion in the third space. If only I had something, I could do something, and then I would be happy or content or fulfilled, complete. Pick your word, okay? But I want you to do that exercise. And if you want to do it multiple times and make several statements out of that, that's fine. But you're going to end up with something like, if only I had more time, I could take some online classes, and then I'd have my certification and be happier in my job. Fill it in. Do at least one. If you want to do a couple, that's fine too. But once you've written that out and you've sat with it for a bit, I want you to look at it and I want you to think about whether or not that is a vision for your life, clear, succinct vision for your life, or is it a limiting belief? And if it's a limiting belief, we've got some things that we can do to work with that. But if it's a limiting belief, you have to take action about that. You're going to have to grab control of that creative process and what you're thinking about. Because it's not about the time or the money or the relationships. It's about what you believe about them. Ponder that, and we will continue that discussion in weeks to come.